Hi everyone, welcome to the third episode of this Common Ground podcast. It's going to be myself and Yusuf Maki talking about gas versus electric. So just an introduction for the electric cars. Um, Obviously, the transportation sector plays a significant role in global carbon emissions, prompting the need for more sustainable alternatives. And what would you have to say with gas-powered vehicles in that respect?
Well, if I were to talk about gas cars, obviously I would say they're much more advanced than electric cars at the moment because electric cars recently got into development and obviously they do have some time to catch up. But in the meantime, I would say gas cars are a bit more advanced when it comes towards ranges as well because the range with the gas-powered vehicles compared to electric-powered vehicles, you can see that there's much more of a significant difference, maybe 100 kilometers.
Yep.
And yeah, although gas-powered cars also, you may argue the fact that they are not sustainable. You can also argue the fact that electric cars are not sustainable, depending if they use renewable energy or not.
It is fact that when it comes to utilizing an electric source of a electric car, the type of electricity is not sustainable. And coming back to his point about the gasoline-powered vehicles, they practically existed for more than a century. And obviously it's going to be more advanced compared to their electric counterparts. But for the future, we tend to focus on something that is more sustainable for the environment. And even though electric cars, they do have their own downsides when considering the fact that, yes, gasoline-powered vehicles are more, they have a more sustainable, I would say, a trend, not sustainable environment, but a sustainable trend when it comes to utilizing gasoline-powered vehicles. I would say that electric cars have emerged as a promising solution, offering a cleaner and greener mode of transportation. In this article, obviously, I'm going to provide a general explanation of electric cars, discussing their key components, benefits, challenges, and the future outlook for electric mobility. So when it comes to the topic of electric cars, also their engines are specifically designed in a way that are more faster than what it used to be. Like I remember back 20 years ago when Tesla revealed their concept for the Model S, this car barely does 0 to 60 in it does 0 to 60 in more than 10 seconds. So obviously you have a more advanced transmission and the technical components of electric cars than what we used to have like 20 years ago. And even though automobiles powered by one or more electric motors, deriving their energy from rechargeable batteries instead of traditional internal combustion engines, these batteries typically are lithium-ion batteries stored in electrical energy required to propel the vehicle. When it comes to electric cars, they consist of several crucial components. The battery pack is the heart of the vehicle, providing the necessary energy storage. Electric motors are responsible for converting electrical energy into mechanical energy, propelling the car forward. Power electronic system manage the flow of electricity between the battery and the motor. The onboard charger allows the battery to be recharged from an external power source, such as a home charging station or public charging infrastructure. Now, you would say that when it comes to the charging infrastructure that is specifically made for Tesla cars, you would see them all over this country.
But you wouldn't see them in other countries as well.
Yes, and that's one of the disadvantages when it comes to electric-powered vehicles.
And then that brings on to the disadvantage of gas-powered vehicles because refueling stations for.
Even the time it takes to recharge a electric car, it's going to take like 60 minutes or more.
Yeah, and gas stations obviously over here, and I'm pretty sure everywhere else in the world, it does not take as long to charge or to fuel up, and the gas station, the infrastructure towards fueling up your car around the world is recognized worldwide, and it's everywhere, almost everywhere.
And when it comes to the availability of the charging infrastructure, obviously when you buy a Tesla, you're going to have a charging infrastructure built at your garage, but obviously you would use the car at a shorter distance compared to gasoline-powered vehicles. I would say that when it comes to the long driving ranges.
Like, if you want to go for a road trip,
Yes.
you better not do it in your Tesla.
Yeah, obviously not, because unfortunately,
or an electric car in general.
yeah, because who would ever wanted to stop their car in the middle of the highway and realizing that you don't have anything to charge your vehicle? It's one of the disadvantages with electric cars. So yes, when it comes to long driving distance, I would say that gasoline-powered vehicles are technically more reliable because of the gas stations that are practically existing almost 100 years, and they are distributed all over the world. So when it comes to the onboard charger of the electric car, it allows the battery to be recharged from an external power sources. Like I said, one example is home charging station or public charging infrastructure. Additionally, when it comes to electric cars, they feature regenerative braking systems that capture and store energy during deceleration, increasing overall efficiency. So pretty much like hybrid-powered vehicles, you have a regenerative braking system that anytime you brake your car, you charge your vehicle.
Yeah.
But it's not significant to the point that it charges your vehicle from 0 to 100.
Obviously, the kinetic energy needs to go somewhere and can go back into the battery. But that brings on towards, if you want to look towards electric and gas-powered vehicles, we can definitely say that the performance of gas-powered vehicles usually offer often a higher horsepower compared to electric cars and has a faster acceleration in terms of top speed, not from 0 to 100, which also provides a more sportier drive towards the people who wants to experience it.
Just a little bit of a heads up, when it comes to the acceleration of an electric car, we did the first episode regarding the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, doing 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're watching this, when you're standing at a roof of a 300-meter building, if you were to drop something, this object, which acts towards a gravity, does 0 to 100 in 2.7 seconds. We're talking about a car that does 0 to 60 faster than gravity, which is quite insane for any cars to do 0 to 60.
Oh yeah, of course.
And even though when it comes to the benefit of having the acceleration from 0 to 100, I would say that electric cars with higher horsepower do offer a better acceleration at a high end of their speed limits, I would say. Like, for example, gasoline-powered vehicles, they are better at their top speeds.
Yeah.
But I would say that when it comes to acceleration from 0 to 300 kilometers per hour, I would still give the upper hand to the electric cars.
No, I still stick with gas-powered vehicles because at the end of the day, 0 to 100, yes, it's faster, but if you're going to put 0 to, for example, 200 or 0 to 300, at the end of the day, once it hits that, I think, 120 kilometers per hour mark, I'm pretty sure that the gas-powered vehicles will catch up or gap the electric cars.
Yes, but this doesn't apply with every automakers. Like, for example, Tesla. They just released 5 years ago the Tesla P100D. This car makes up to 690 horsepower. If you were to compete that with the hybridized version of the Porsche Panamera, I would say that the Porsche Panamera would take the upper hand when it comes to accelerating beyond 120 kilometers per hour. But I would say that when it comes to the power figures, the Porsche Taycan, even this is true with every German automakers, they tend to underestimate the power their car makes. Like for example, they specifically said that the Porsche Taycan Turbo S makes up to 761 horsepower, which is not true. The car actually makes 900 brake horsepower. The same thing applies with the Porsche 911 Turbo S. They say that the car have 650 horsepower. This is not true. The car actually makes 800 horsepower. This is due to the fact that some of the automaker journalists...
They have electric motors now?
The 911?
Yeah.
They are purely gasoline-powered vehicle.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to the performance figures, I remember that Motor Trend did a dyno testing of the Porsche 911 Turbo S, just so that they can figure out how much power the car makes. They said that the car makes 1.2% more power compared to the claims that was made by the Porsche company. So yes, I would say that German cars, they tend to underestimate the power and the performance figures of their own vehicles. So
it just shows you I guess you could say the lengths and the potential gas-powered vehicles have, which is an edge that they have over electric cars due to the fact that the electric cars are still in development and still early on.
yes, I mean, obviously, when you see an electric car in person, people would be confused as to what an electric car, even for the person who's not even a car enthusiast, when they see an electric car, they don't immediately recognize it as something special. Like, for example, if you compare it with the supercar, like, for example, the Ferrari 458 Speciale. When it comes to a basic understanding of cars, obviously, it would be more appropriate for a person who doesn't have knowledge about cars to be looking at gasoline-powered vehicles as a source of development, maybe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does.
So even though there are some drawbacks when it comes to electric vehicles, I would say that when it comes to the benefits of electric vehicles, obviously they offer numerous of advantages. Like the example I just gave regarding 0 to 100 kilometers per hour.
And also, what you could say, I'm sorry, I'm butting in, which also is the disadvantage towards gas cars. Gas-powered cars, they have dependence on fossil fuels, gas. And I guess you could say electric cars, they can get more than one source of energy. They can use solar panels, they can use windmills, they can use, endless amount of sustainable energy in order to create electricity compared to gas-powered cars. Wow. Let me just put this down.
Yeah, that's fine. I can cut that part if you want me to.
Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, let me repeat that whole part. So an advantage that an advantage that electric-powered vehicle cars has over gas-powered cars is the fact that gas-powered cars, they only rely on gas for their source of range, I guess you could say, in terms of fueling up the car. On the other hand, electric-powered vehicles, I guess you could say you can get more than one source of energy. You can use solar panels, you can use windmills, you can use other sources of sustainable energy, you can even use uranium energy, you can use endless amount of energy sources in order to fuel up your car and charge it up.
So obviously you have a sustainable form of energy that can be utilized for electric cars, but also when it comes to them being practical, they produce zero tailpipe emission, reducing local air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. And this makes them an essential tool in combating climate change and improving air quality in urban areas. Secondly, electric cars are more energy efficient than their gasoline counterparts, resulting in lower operational costs they also require less maintenance since they have fewer moving parts, reducing the need for oil changes, spark plug replacement, and similar maintenance tasks. Moreover, the shift to electric cars reduces the dependence on fossil fuel, promoting energy independence and diversification. And which brings me to the challenges and solutions of gasoline versus electric
Yeah.
cars.
So, anyways, let me finish off with a bit of pros, since I've only said once so far about gas vehicle cars. Obviously, you can think about the environmental impact. Gas vehicles emit greenhouse gases and contribute towards the air pollution around the world and the combustion of fossil fuels, which we are running out. It's getting less and less fossil fuels by the day. So, obviously, we would want to keep that, store it. And number three, I guess you could say fuel costs. Gasoline prices can be volatile, they can go up and down. Recently, it's been going up due to the fact that there are, I guess you could say, you can bring the war in Ukraine on why gas prices are going up since Russia. Everyone's trying to boycott Russia, and Russia has the highest, I think, the most amount of gas.
They do, yeah.
They do, and that kind of, I guess you could say, messes up the market and fluctuates the prices of gas. And also, as you said, the maintenance towards gas-powered vehicles.
Even when it comes to the fact that the source of electricity does actually come from oil sources. So when it comes to the price of electricity, it has also rise even with the gasoline.
Yeah, that's true. But let's be honest, like getting a full charge of not a full charge of electricity for your car compared to a full tank of gas, which one's going to cost more?
The gasoline.
Exactly my point there. And anyways, going on to my fourth one, maintenance. Obviously, oil changes will need to be made, spark plugs, as you said, air filters, and long-term cost towards ownership, towards having a gas-powered vehicle. And I guess this could be an advantage and also a disadvantage. So, the noise and vibrations. A lot of car enthusiasts love the sounds of an exhaust.
No doubt, it's one of the most musical parts of the car.
Yeah, and electric cars, they don't offer this. So obviously it can be less desirable, or it can be more desirable of noise and vibrations towards having a gas-powered cars. That's up to you guys, the audience, since at the end of the day, I don't know if you would like to listen to an exhaust, but apparently, like, for example, my mom, she's not comfortable getting into an electric car and driving it due to the fact that it feels very surreal to her. You understand?
Even when it comes to the fact that you can hear the engine from the gasoline vehicles, if you take that away from a car.
Yeah, especially with someone that's been driving
Yes.
so long in a gas-powered car, they might not be used to it, and they might feel unsafe, and they might feel on edge because they're not used to that feeling. Although to us, since we are still early on into our years of driving, I guess you could say it could make all the difference.
It does make a difference.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the sound component of a car is something that is quite musical. And this is something that car enthusiasts will never forget.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
obviously,
just to end it off with gas-powered cars, then you can end off the podcast. It's worth noting that the automotive industry is rapidly evolving. So with that, obviously electric cars are going to gain popularity, and that is good since there are advancements in technology every day of the week, 24/7, from here to the future. And the pros and cons of gas vehicles should be considered in the context of these changing trends. And it all depends on your guys' aspects and what you guys think. But obviously for me, obviously since we're doing this every episode, gas-powered vehicles or electric cars, I'll have to give it to gas-powered vehicles for the meantime. Obviously, I do think that my mind is going to change when the performance and the advancements towards electric cars also develops as well, due to the fact that, again, I know it's like my fifth time saying this today, but because it's still early on. But no doubt the potential of electric cars, I mean, that's an exciting thing to see later on in the future.
It is worth noting that when it comes to the driving of gasoline-powered vehicles, obviously the sound component is something that is quite memorable, but also the history of gasoline-powered vehicles. Like, you have generations of vehicles, like, for example, the Mercedes S-Class. Its predecessor is something that is more directed towards the Mercedes engine. Like, for example, when it comes to the creation of the Mercedes S63 AMG, the car makes a V8 engine with almost 610 horsepower. The previous model, I think it makes up to 550 brake horsepower.
Still a lot.
It is still a lot, but what makes it special is the fact that the sound of the car is something that car enthusiasts would never forget. So it is something that is quite, like, it would never get old when it comes to the gasoline-powered vehicles.
And as well as to the car enthusiasts.
Even the car enthusiasts. I would quickly, very quickly, I just wanted to go through the challenges and the solutions of electric vehicles just a little bit. Yes, so when it comes to the advancement in battery technology, even though they are continuously improving range and reducing charging times, there are limited range when it comes to electric vehicles.
I have a question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can you tune an electric car?
Not that I can think of. There's not even a case where you can tune it.
Okay, I guess that's another disadvantage.
But when it comes to the Tesla Model S, you can't tune it, but you can change the motors into a more powerful motor. But I would say that this process would take almost like 5 months to complete.
No, yeah, of course. But I guess that could be a thing that could be seen as a disadvantage towards the car community.
But
And
also when it comes
also, like,
to the...
I mean, have you seen a gas-powered car shoot out flames out with exhaust?
Yes, I've seen gas-powered cars shooting out flames.
Come on, it's kind of cool.
You wouldn't see this in an electric car.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, the battery.
Obviously, you would have to fake it until your battery explodes, right?
Yeah, of course.
Coming back to my point is that even though the range can be a little bit more of a disadvantage, this is something to improve on. So it would be reasonable to expand on charging infrastructure. It is something that is challenging, that requires government support and private investment to ensure convenient access to charging stations. Affordability remains a barrier, but as battery costs decrease and economies of scale improve, electric cars are becoming more cost competitive. Additionally, recycling and proper disposal of batteries are essential to minimize environmental impact of the vehicle and also promoting circular economy. When it comes to the future outlook of electric car, it is promising because, yes, I just wanted to quickly summarize it when it comes to the future outlook. So the government worldwide are implementing policies and initiatives to accelerate the transition to electric mobility. Obviously, all cars on the roads would be electric by 2030 and onwards. So when it comes to conclusion of electric cars, I would say that electric cars offer a sustainable and environmental friendly solution to the challenges posed by traditional combustion engine with their zero emissions, energy efficiency, and decreasing costs. Electric vehicles are posed to revolutionize the transportation sector, overcoming challenges related to range, charging infrastructure, and affordability will be critical in achieving widespread adoption. As government, industries, and consumer embrace electric mobility, we can look forward to a future where electric cars dominate the roads, driving us towards a cleaner and greener tomorrow. So with that, I would like to conclude with a winner for this podcast. What would you have to pick?
I told you earlier I would pick gas-fired cars for the meantime, but in the future, no doubt I'll be picking up on electric cars.
So it does make sense that when it comes to the future of electrification and sustainability, yes, like he said, electric vehicles does win the upper hand, but in this moment of time, I would have to agree on him and choose gasoline-powered vehicle in this moment of time. With that, I would like to thank you guys for watching, and this would pretty much wraps up everything, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would like to say thank you guys for listening in. This was a kind of fun episode, and I'm glad to have